The same woman who used to blush when you touched her now avoids your gaze, laughs differently, or suddenly guards her phone like a secret agent. You tell yourself you're overthinking, but your gut whispers something you can't ignore. And that, my friend, is your first warning, because when a woman cheats, she doesn't just hide her actions. She rewrites her entire emotional language. Before we go deeper, take a second. Hit that subscribe button, and like this video, I promise you what you're about to learn will change the way you understand women forever. Now, here's the truth that most men don't want to face. Women cheat differently than men. When men cheat, it's often impulsive, physical, a mistake they regret. But when a woman does it, it's almost always calculated, emotional, planned. She builds an emotional alibi before she even crosses the line. You'll never see it coming because she wants you to trust her to lower your guard, to believe she's incapable of betrayal. Let's be clear, not every woman cheats, but the ones who do, they're masterful at creating illusions. She'll turn suspicion into guilt, making you apologize for even noticing her distance. She'll talk about honesty, about needing space, about wanting to focus on herself, but behind those phrases hides a new emotional connection she's nurturing, one that's replacing you piece by piece. What most men don't realize is that female infidelity isn't born out of lust. It's born out of emotional starvation. When she feels unseen, unheard, or unappreciated, she doesn't immediately leave. She starts seeking validation somewhere else, quietly, slowly. At first, it's innocent, a coworker's attention, a friend's compliments. But over time, that emotional spark becomes a fire. And once it's lit, she begins preparing her escape, while still pretending everything's normal. She'll still kiss you goodnight, still text you love you, but her mind, it's already elsewhere. You'll sense it in the silence after you speak, in how her hugs become shorter, in how her laughter sounds rehearsed. That's the thing about women who cheat. They don't disappear overnight. They fade away in layers, and by the time you notice, she's already gone. One of the most dangerous truths about female infidelity is this. When a woman decides to cheat, she doesn't start with deception. She starts with justification. She convinces herself that what she's doing is somehow fair, that she deserves to be happy, that you changed, or that you stopped caring. It's not about you being a bad man. It's about her needing to believe that she's not the bad one. This emotional justification becomes her armor. It lets her sleep at night while living a double life. You'll notice subtle changes first. The late replies, the new wardrobe for work, the sudden obsession with privacy. But she'll disguise it all as growth, as self-love, independence, or boundaries. And as a man, you'll want to respect that. You'll think she's just focusing on herself, but deep down something won't feel right. Here's where female psychology becomes a weapon. Women are emotionally intelligent. They read micro-expressions, tones, and energy faster than you can blink. So if she's cheating, she knows exactly how to adjust her emotions to keep you calm. If she senses your suspicion rising, she'll soften her voice, become affectionate, even initiate intimacy, not out of love, but to neutralize your doubt. That's one of her tricks. She uses affection as camouflage. When you're confused, she gives you just enough warmth to make you question yourself. She makes you feel paranoid for noticing the truth. And when you start apologizing for being insecure, she wins, because now you've been psychologically disarmed. Another trick is emotional redirection. She'll start fights about small things to distract from the big ones. She'll accuse you of being distant or hiding something, flipping the emotional script. It's not that she enjoys conflict, it's that every argument shifts your focus away from her behavior, and you trying to prove your loyalty unknowingly protect her secret. A woman who's cheating doesn't want to lose her relationship immediately. She wants options. So she builds a bridge between two worlds, one foot in yours, the other testing the waters of someone else's attention. And as long as you remain confused, loyal, and hopeful, she can walk that bridge comfortably. The scariest part, she'll look you in the eyes and say, "I'd never do that to you." And in that moment, you'll believe her, not because she's convincing, but because you want to believe the woman you love couldn't betray you. One of the most unsettling things about women who cheat is how seamlessly they manage the performance. It's not just about hiding messages or deleting calls, it's about controlling perception. She becomes the version of herself that keeps suspicion at bay. To the outside world, she's the loyal girlfriend, the caring wife, the woman who would never. But behind that mask, she's running two emotional realities at once. See, men underestimate how much effort a woman will put into maintaining that illusion. She'll plan her lies in layers. Every story she tells has a backstory, every outing a believable reason, every moment away from you carefully timed. She becomes a strategist, calm, organized, emotionally consistent. And that's why most men never see it coming. Because when a woman cheats, she's not careless, she's methodical. One of her most powerful tricks is selective vulnerability. She'll open up about small things to appear emotionally honest, maybe a bad day, a work problem, or even a story from her past. That vulnerability disarms you. It convinces you that someone who shares her soul like that couldn't possibly be hiding something darker. But in reality, she's offering small truths to protect a much bigger lie. Then comes the routine reinforcement. She knows that routine creates trust. So she'll maintain little habits that make you feel secure. Morning texts, shared meals, inside jokes. Meanwhile, she's rearranging her real life in the background. Her emotional loyalty has already shifted, but she'll keep the structure of the relationship intact to make you believe everything's stable. When you start to sense that something's off, when her mood swings become unpredictable or her affection feels mechanical, she'll use emotional confusion to her advantage. She'll say things like, "You're imagining it," or "Why can't you just trust me?" Those words aren't about truth. They're about control. She's not defending her integrity. She's defending her illusion. And here's the harsh truth. When a woman starts lying, she's not just lying to you. She's lying for you. She wants to preserve your peace, your trust, your love, not because she respects them, but because they make her secret easier to manage. She's not trying to lose you yet. She's trying to keep both worlds alive long enough to decide which one feels better. By the time you start connecting the dots, you won't be dealing with the woman you fell for. You'll be facing the version of her that learned how to deceive you and still make you feel loved. Here's where it gets truly psychological. The moment a woman begins to emotionally detach, her brain rewires how she sees you. You stop being her emotional home and become part of the background. She's not cruel, she's cold, she's not angry, she's indifferent. That's what confuses most men. The sudden calm. You expect drama, tears, arguments, but instead she's peaceful, detached, almost like she's moved on while still standing next to you. That's because emotionally she already has. Her heart isn't torn, it's transitioned. And the biggest trick women use to get away with cheating. Emotional misdirection. She replaces you in her emotional world, but makes it look like she's replacing stress with peace. You think she's just healing, maturing, focusing on herself, but really she's redirecting her emotional energy to someone else. She'll start talking about growth, about not depending on anyone. She'll say things like, "I just need to find myself again." Those words sound innocent, even inspiring, but beneath them lies a quiet truth. She's already found something or someone that's giving her the validation you once did, and she'll use that newfound independence as the perfect cover. You won't question why she's suddenly too busy to spend time with you, or why she's protective of her phone because she's framed it all as self-care. You'll even support it. That's the genius of emotional misdirection. It turns your loyalty into her shield. Then comes the normalization phase. She tests how much she can get away with. She'll delay replies, cancel plans, or go out with new friends. At first, she overexplains to make it believable. But once she sees you've accepted it, she stops explaining it all. That's when you've lost control because silence has replaced honesty. You might notice she's dressing differently, putting more effort into her appearance. She'll say, "I just want to feel confident again." You'll think it's for herself, but confidence isn't the goal. Attraction is. Someone out there is making her feel seen again, and she's mirroring that energy back. And yet she'll keep you emotionally fed. Just enough affection, just enough connection, so you don't question her loyalty too deeply. That's the cruel elegance of female psychology when used to deceive. She doesn't break you with betrayal. She softens you with tenderness until you can't even tell you're losing her. By the time she's ready to walk away, you won't recognize the woman leaving because she's been slowly becoming someone else right in front of you. There's something haunting about the way a woman maintains her double life. She doesn't just lie. She manages emotions, calibrates reactions, and studies your patterns like a psychologist. She knows when you're suspicious, when you're vulnerable, and when to play the part of the loving partner again. And that's one of her most powerful tools, emotional timing. She knows exactly when to show affection, when to distance herself, and when to reignite intimacy, all to keep you confused but emotionally attached. You might think cheating is about physical acts, but for most women, it's about emotional transfer. Once her heart begins to attach elsewhere, her conscience quiets down. She'll rationalize her actions by convincing herself that she's already disconnected from you, that it's not really cheating if she's already gone inside. That's how she protects herself from guilt. Another trick she uses is projection. She'll start accusing you of the very thing she's doing. She'll say, "You've been distant lately," or "I feel like you're hiding something." At first, you'll be shocked. You might even start questioning yourself, but projection is a psychological shield. By blaming you, she distracts you from her own behavior and keeps the emotional focus away from her guilt. It's manipulation through deflection, and then there's selective empathy. When you're upset or feeling disconnected, she'll comfort you just enough to make you think she still cares deeply, but not enough to truly reattach emotionally. It's like she's maintaining just enough closeness to prevent you from walking away. She doesn't want to lose her security, her emotional safety net, or the life you've built together, not yet. She wants options. You'll start to see contradictions. She'll be distant, but jealous if you pull away. Busy, but curious about your plans. Affectionate in public, but cold in private. These inconsistencies aren't random, they're calculated. They keep you in a psychological loop where you're constantly trying to earn back the version of her that's already gone. Here's the painful irony. While you're fighting to save the relationship, she's already rewriting history in her mind. She's mentally editing your story, removing the good memories, highlighting your flaws, and reframing herself as the victim. That's how she makes her betrayal emotionally acceptable. By the time she cheats physically, she's convinced herself that she's not really cheating. She's just following her heart. That's the power of emotional self-deception. And the reason so many men never see it coming. Now comes the phase where she perfects the art of control through chaos. See, once a woman is deep into her secret, her biggest fear isn't losing you, it's being exposed. So she begins controlling the emotional climate of the relationship to keep that from happening. If she senses you're growing suspicious, she doesn't confront it directly. She flips the narrative. Suddenly, you are the one who's changed. You're the one who's distant, cold, distracted. She weaponizes confusion because confusion keeps you docile. This is where most men lose their balance. You start second-guessing yourself, thinking maybe you're too controlling, too paranoid, too sensitive. You apologize for noticing the very thing she's doing. And in that moment, she reclaims emotional power. Because the more guilt you carry, the less likely you are to question her truth. She'll use 3 subtle psychological tactics here. Guilt, pity, and reversal. Guilt, by making you feel bad for even doubting her. Pity, by acting wounded that you don't trust her anymore. And reversal, by making it seem like you're the reason she's pulling away. Each tactic keeps her image clean while slowly eroding your confidence. But here's where it gets darker. She'll start planting emotional seeds in other people's minds too. Friends, family, coworkers. She'll subtly mention how things have been difficult with you, how she feels unappreciated. She's creating a safety net, a narrative that makes her future exit look justified. By the time the truth comes out, she's already built her defense in the eyes of everyone around her. And what happens to you? You're left standing in emotional limbo, confused about how someone who once adored you could twist reality so effortlessly. But that's the genius of female emotional intelligence. When misused, it's not just manipulation, it's psychological warfare. Still understand this, she's not a monster. Most women who cheat aren't driven by malice. They're driven by unmet emotional needs, suppressed desires, and an internal conflict between guilt and validation. But instead of confronting the emptiness inside, she fills it with attention from someone new while pretending nothing's wrong. By this point, she's mastered the illusion. Every move, every smile, every touch is calculated to preserve her secret life. And if you ever catch her, truly catch her, she won't admit it easily. She'll cry, deny, deflect, even swear on everything sacred. Because for her, admitting the truth means losing both worlds. And that's a kind of pain she's not ready to face. When the mask finally begins to slip, it doesn't happen through words. It happens through energy. The silence feels different. Her laughter sounds rehearsed. You can't explain it, but something in her presence doesn't connect anymore. That's your intuition trying to save you. The same intuition she's been gaslighting you to ignore. She might start picking unnecessary fights to create emotional distance, or worse, she'll act too nice, overly affectionate, overly attentive, trying to cover the cracks in her story with sudden warmth. But you'll feel it, because when a woman's soul leaves a relationship, her eyes tell the truth, her mouth never will. Eventually, her web of control starts to crumble under its own weight. The lies get harder to synchronize. The emotional inconsistencies become obvious. Maybe you find a message that doesn't make sense, or her timeline doesn't add up. She'll panic, not from guilt, but from exposure. Because for her, getting caught means losing both the validation of her new connection and the stability of the old one. That's when she'll play her final trick. The emotional collapse, tears, shaking, apologies that sound sincere. She'll say things like, "I didn't mean to, it just happened," or "I was lonely." And part of you, the man who still remembers her softness, will want to believe it, because it's easier to forgive a lie than to accept that the person you loved was capable of it. But here's the truth you need to hear. The only way to heal from betrayal is to stop searching for the version of her that never existed. The woman who loved you would never have risked you for a temporary thrill. The woman standing in front of you now is someone new, built from emotional deception, denial, and self-centered validation. Yet this pain, this shattering realization can become your awakening. Betrayal exposes not just her truth, but yours. It shows you where you ignored red flags, where you settled for half-truths, and where you silenced your instincts for the illusion of love. So listen closely, because this is the moment you take back your power. You don't chase her, you don't beg, you don't compete with the man she cheated with, you reclaim your worth, you let her face the silence she created, the emptiness she tried to escape, because no woman who betrays a man's genuine love ever wins in the end. She just loses the one person who would have never stopped choosing her. and you rise stronger, sharper, wiser, not colder, just more awake. If this message hits something deep inside you, don't leave this space without subscribing and liking this video, because I'm here as a woman and as a psychologist to help you understand not just why she did it, but how you can rise above it.